Have you ever felt as though you were being watched, not by a person in the room, but by something older, something woven into the very fabric of our world? Throughout history, one symbol has followed us like a silent shadow, the all-seeing eye. It appears in the temples of Egypt, stares from Renaissance frescoes, and watches from the walls of Masonic lodges. Today, it even rests on our currency, hidden in plain sight, staring back at us from the things we touch every day. Coincidence? Or a carefully placed reminder of who truly holds power? The eye has been called many names: the eye of providence, the eye of Horus, the symbol of divine awareness. But in the hands of secret societies, it becomes something far darker. What if this symbol is not about enlightenment, but about control? A ritual mark passed through generations, used to manipulate thought, to bend perception, to reinforce the presence of hidden power. Have you noticed how often it appears in music videos, corporate logos, even political stages? Symbols are never random. They are languages, and this one may be speaking directly to your subconscious. For centuries, whispers have claimed that the all-seeing eye is more than just an emblem, that it is part of occult rituals designed to link human consciousness into a system of mind control. From the Illuminati to the Freemasons, from the Vatican archives to the sealed records of modern intelligence agencies, the eye emerges again and again. Why does it appear everywhere power gathers? And why does it linger in places where the masses are most vulnerable to psychological influence? What you're about to uncover may shift how you see the world. This journey will peel back the shadows, revealing not only the hidden symbols, but also the rituals and technologies that surround them. Because if the eye is watching, the question is, who is behind it? And what do they want from us? Write in the comments, I see the hidden signs. Subscribe to continue this awakening, because this is only the beginning. And the deeper we go, the stranger the truth becomes. The story of the all-seeing eye does not begin with the Illuminati, nor with Freemasonry, nor even with the strange engravings on our modern currency. Its roots stretch back to the deserts of ancient Egypt, where the eye of Horus was painted on tombs, carved on amulets, invoked in rituals meant to protect the soul in its journey through the afterlife. To the Egyptians, it was a talisman of healing, a symbol of divine vision, a reminder that nothing escaped the watch of higher powers. But symbols are never static. Over centuries, the meaning of the eye shifted, adapted, and darkened, until what once represented protection began to represent control. As civilization spread, so did the symbol. In Greece, it merged with the eye of Zeus and the concept of fate. In Rome, it appeared in mosaics linked to the gods who ruled destiny. By the Renaissance, artists embedded it in sacred paintings, often inside triangles, often framed with rays of light, subtle markers that blended faith with forbidden knowledge. At first glance, these were gestures of reverence, yet behind them a transformation was taking place. The eye was no longer just divine oversight. It was becoming a signal, a code, a mark of hidden power moving silently through the centuries. By the 18th century, secret societies seized upon the eye. The Illuminati, emerging in Bavaria in 1776, elevated it as their emblem, calling it the Eye of Providence. Freemasons carved it into lodges, etched it into rituals, and used it as a reminder of eternal vigilance. But vigilance for whom? For the initiated, the eye was a reminder of allegiance, of submission to a structure larger than the individual. For outsiders, it was hidden in architecture and art, invisible yet ever present. This is how occult rituals thrive, by cloaking themselves in plain sight, by turning sacred icons into instruments of manipulation. What is unsettling is how consistently the eye appears at the crossroads of power. In political revolutions, in financial systems, in monuments erected to last centuries. Why does the same hidden symbol stare back at us from every seat of authority? Why does it follow the rise of empires and the fall of kingdoms? Ancient codes rarely travel without purpose, and this one seems tied to an agenda that transcends borders, religions, and eras. It is as if the eye has always been watching, always recording, always reminding us that the unseen is never far away. Write in the comments, I will not be controlled. And so we must ask, was the eye repurposed by secret societies as a means of mind control? Did they inherit forbidden knowledge, dressing it in new rituals, adapting it to modern structures of authority? Or has the symbol always carried this dual nature, waiting for those who know its true meaning to wield it as a weapon? The shadows surrounding its evolution suggest more than coincidence. They suggest orchestration, a design meant to endure. But that's only the surface. Let's go deeper. Because if the eye has followed us from temples to lodges, from ancient gods to modern corporations, then perhaps it was never just a symbol at all. Perhaps it has always been the silent seal of a dark agenda, one that continues to shape the very reality we think is our own. It is no accident that the all-seeing eye appears wherever power concentrates. From the Great Seal of the United States to the ceilings of Masonic temples, from ancient frescoes to the architecture of cathedrals, the same hidden symbol follows authority like a shadow that never fades. We are told it represents providence, divine protection, a reminder of higher guidance, but history whispers a different story. For secret societies, the eye has never been passive. It is not simply about seeing, it is about shaping. A tool of vigilance that extends beyond observation into the realm of influence, where perception itself becomes the battlefield. The Great Seal is the most striking example. A pyramid, unfinished, crowned by a solitary eye radiating light. For the public, it was framed as an emblem of enlightenment, the triumph of a young nation under divine watch. But ancient codes suggest otherwise. Rosicrucian manuscripts from 1789, later linked to hidden archives, describe the eye not as a symbol of guidance, but as an active force, a mechanism through which rituals of power could project themselves into the collective mind. The placement on currency is no coincidence. Money circulates through every hand, every exchange, becoming the perfect carrier of a silent message. The eye stares back, reminding the subconscious who commands the unseen. This is how manipulation works. A hidden symbol repeated enough times seeps beneath awareness. People dismiss it as decoration, as harmless tradition, but repetition is the essence of psychological influence. Occult rituals do not need to be performed in dimly lit chambers alone. They thrive when integrated into daily life, masked as art, culture, or national pride. And when the collective accepts these marks without resistance, the dark agenda grows stronger. Because what is unseen is rarely questioned. And what is not questioned becomes part of reality itself. Write in the comments, I will not be controlled. But how exactly can a symbol hold such power? The answer lies in the language of the subconscious. Ancient civilizations believed that images bypass logic and strike directly at the deepest layers of the mind. The Rosicrucian texts suggested that certain shapes, certain eyes, certain patterns are more than symbols. They are triggers, keys to hidden chambers of thought. When repeated in rituals or embedded in monuments, they gain strength, feeding off participation, even when unintentional. Every glance, every acknowledgement becomes part of the ritual. And when billions participate unknowingly, the influence is unimaginable. This alliance between the eye and secret societies is not superstition, it is strategy, a network of conspiracies that understands the psychology of symbols better than any modern science. It is not about the eye watching, it is about the eye programming. And if this is true, then the question shifts from whether the eye controls us to how many layers of control have already been written into the very foundations of our world. But that's only the surface. Let's go deeper. Because if a single hidden symbol can shape the subconscious of billions, what happens when countless others are woven together, forming a language of shadows that governs reality itself? The true strength of the all-seeing eye is not in its shape alone, but in how it interacts with the mind. Neuroscience has revealed what secret societies have known for centuries. The human brain responds to symbols in ways far deeper than logic. A single image bypasses conscious thought, slipping directly into the subconscious, where it lingers, repeating its message silently, without resistance. The Thule Gesellschaft, active in the early 20th century, understood this well. They experimented with ancient codes, embedding them into rituals designed not just to impress initiates, but to reprogram perception itself. What they practiced in secrecy has since been scaled to global proportions, hidden in plain sight. The all-seeing eye works as a trigger. Repetition gives it power. Each time it appears, on a billboard, in a film, on a music video backdrop, or hidden within a corporate logo, it reinforces the same message. Someone is watching. Someone is above you. Authority cannot be escaped. Over time, this creates a passive acceptance, a quiet submission that shapes behavior without a word being spoken. The dark agenda thrives on this subtlety. When manipulation feels invisible, it is most effective. Modern science confirms what occult rituals have always practiced. Studies show that subliminal imagery, even when flashed for milliseconds, alters mood, decision-making, and memory. Psychological influence can be engineered with precision, colors, sounds, frequencies, all combined with symbols to create a state of suggestibility. The all-seeing eye, when paired with ritualistic repetition in pop culture, does more than decorate, it conditions. It normalizes control, erodes resistance, and implants a hidden truth. You are always being observed. Write in the comments, "I will not be controlled." But what happens when ancient symbols meet modern technology? Here lies the unsettling convergence. With the rise of algorithms, artificial intelligence, and digital platforms, symbols no longer appear randomly. They are placed with intent, tracked for impact, measured for effect. Every click, every pause, every glance at a screen provides data that refines the placement of imagery with frightening precision. The unseen hand no longer relies solely on occult rituals. It now has the machinery of neuroscience and the reach of digital empires. The eye no longer just looks down from monuments, it stares back from every screen you hold in your hand. And if secret societies once required temples and cloaked ceremonies, now they require only silence. The ritual has been digitized. Music awards with flames and pyramids, films where characters are framed under a glowing eye, advertisements where the symbol hides in the design, all feed into the same network of conditioning. A collective ritual disguised as culture. Billions take part without ever realizing. Each exposure, each repetition, each subconscious acknowledgement builds the structure of a psychological cage. But that's only the surface. Let's go deeper, because if symbols can truly bend perception, and if technology amplifies their effect, then we must ask, what rituals are being performed right now on a scale so vast that resistance feels impossible? And more importantly, who stands at the center of the unseen, orchestrating the game of control through a single watching eye? The all-seeing eye, repeated endlessly across culture, is not just a symbol, it is an anchor. But what happens when that anchor is connected to something far more complex? Rituals carried out in secrecy and technologies concealed from the public eye. History leaves us fragments, unsettling glimpses into experiments designed to probe the limits of human consciousness. The declassified files of Operation MKUltra revealed only part of the story. Drugs administered without consent, subliminal messages tested in dark laboratories, frequencies used to alter behavior. If those methods existed in the 1950s, imagine how much further they could have evolved in the shadows since then. Rituals have always been the operating system of secret societies. The flames, the chants, the circles drawn on stone floors. Each movement a way to imprint the subconscious with hidden symbols. When combined with psychological influence, the effect becomes exponential. Now picture those same rituals amplified by technology. Frequencies tuned to match brainwave states, visual patterns flickering at speeds below conscious detection. The eye is not just watching, it is projecting. A dark agenda hidden beneath entertainment, politics, even advertising. And the more global the stage, the more powerful the ritual becomes. Some researchers argue that fear and conformity are the easiest states to induce. A sudden sound, a flashing image, a subtle repetition of hidden symbols, and the subconscious responds. Anxiety rises, compliance follows. What was once tested in controlled environments has now been integrated into the digital world. Through the screens we carry, rituals are enacted every day, rituals that require no consent, only attention. And with billions of eyes fixed on devices, the congregation has become global. Write in the comments, "I will not be controlled." Forbidden knowledge tells us that rituals gain strength from participation, even when unconscious. A person chanting in a hall and a person scrolling on a phone may seem worlds apart, yet both are feeding into the same unseen structure. Ancient codes encoded in modern designs, frequencies that shift mood woven into music, hidden symbols slipped into films and shows. Each exposure a small thread, and together a vast web of manipulation. The eye becomes not just a symbol of surveillance, but the central node of a system designed to unify thought itself. This is the terrifying beauty of the unseen. What began as experiments in dimly lit rooms has expanded into a network of influence that touches nearly every mind on the planet. Secret societies no longer need to gather in secluded temples. The temple is everywhere now. The ritual is woven into the culture we consume, into the technologies we trust, into the very fabric of our collective reality. But that's only the surface. Let's go deeper, Because if the goal is truly a single unified mind under the gaze of the eye, then we must ask, how close are we already to living in that constructed reality? And would we even recognize it if we were inside it? The eye has always been more than stone carvings, frescoes, or symbols hidden in logos. It is a mirror, a reminder, a force woven into the fabric of culture. And now, as we look at its legacy, the question is not simply where it came from, but what it means for us today. From ancient temples to digital screens, from secret rituals in candlelit chambers to global broadcasts reaching billions, the eye has never stopped watching. Its persistence suggests more than tradition. It suggests design, a continuity of purpose, a thread binding secret societies and their forbidden knowledge to the psychological influence that shapes modern life. To recognize the eye is to break the first layer of mind control, because symbols thrive in shadows, gaining strength when unexamined. The moment awareness touches them, the illusion weakens. Yet awareness is not easy. It demands courage to see what lies behind the veil, to admit that the dark agenda is not myth, but a system hidden in plain sight. Have you noticed how often these hidden symbols appear when power gathers? On stages, in politics, in corporations, in the culture we consume daily. To dismiss them as coincidence is to remain blind. To see them is to awaken. Secret societies depend on silence, on the collective choice to look away. The eye, when placed before us, is not only watching, it is testing. Will you accept the image passively, or will you question it? This is the psychological battlefield. Conformity versus revelation. Those who choose awakening disrupt the ritual, they step outside the manipulation. Write in the comments, I see the signs. That phrase, simple yet powerful, is a mark of refusal, a declaration that you will not be molded by the unseen. But what can we truly do against a symbol this vast, this deeply embedded in history, politics, and culture? The first step is recognition. The second is resistance. Not through rebellion in the streets, but through the refusal of passive acceptance. By naming the hidden power, by decoding the ancient codes, by seeing the forbidden knowledge for what it is, we begin to reclaim perception, because perception is the real prize, the real battlefield of conspiracies. And yet, the eye remains, always there, watching, reminding us that the game of control is still unfolding. But that's only the surface. Let's go deeper, because if the legacy of the eye spans millennia, the question we must ask is not just how it shaped the past, but how it is silently writing the script of our future, and whether we have the strength to see beyond its gaze. If you've walked with me until now, you already sense that the eye is more than stone and light, more than an ancient mark lingering on monuments or money. It is the shadow that follows history, the symbol that secret societies use not only to watch, but to mold. To see it is to recognize the threads of mind control woven into our daily lives. And by recognizing, you begin the first act of resistance. Awareness itself becomes a quiet ritual of awakening. Subscribe, not as a routine click, but as a way of staying inside the circle of those who choose to uncover forbidden knowledge. Each video adds another piece to the puzzle, another hidden layer brought into the open. This path is not about entertainment, it is about revelations, about gathering the fragments of truth scattered through shadows. By staying close, you continue the journey deeper into the unseen, where the dark agenda loses its power the moment it is named. And I invite you to leave a mark here, a signal that you are awake, that you have seen what others refuse to notice. Write in the comments, "No one will control my mind." Short, symbolic, powerful. Let that phrase echo as a declaration, not just to me, but to anyone who dares to read, because each voice that speaks truth weakens the spell of silence. If what you heard tonight stirred something inside you, if you felt the weight of the hidden symbols that surround us, let your like be a sign, not of agreement but of resonance, a subtle pact between us, proof that the message found its way past the surface, into the depths of your own perception. This is not the end. What you have uncovered is only one chapter of a much larger conspiracy, a language of ancient codes still shaping the present. The next video awaits, carrying the next piece of the ritual. Watch it not with passive eyes, but with awakened ones, because the eye may be everywhere, but so is the truth, waiting for those who are ready to see.